Hello, everyone. We're live from Reggio Emilia, Italy, 10 minutes late. Sorry it took longer because we had the interview with translation for the first time, and it took more than we planned for. So let's enter in the group.
Hi, we are coming.
And you'll see people behind. All right, so
I don't know, is anybody connected?
I guess people are still joining. We can give 1 minute for people to join because we're...
Or to rejoin, because
rejoin.
we left.
There's one person left. Anyway, it's recorded, so we can go on, share the story, and then if people share their questions, we can answer, and they can see the registration afterwards. So first, we plan to share some ideas about the project, and then if there are people connected, we can have a Q&A session together. So my name is Tudor, and
my name is Ana. Hello.
We are partners at the ExperimentQ Foundation. The original story of this project is that I quit university. We're both from Republic of Moldova, and we went very different paths in our life and career or studies. So when I went for college, then in the university I quit and I joined the startup community. I traveled for a couple of years and did various projects, but I didn't have a bachelor degree, so it was a dropout. And so it happened that we met, and I moved to Paris, and there I discovered CRE Paris, which is a research institute focused on life science and learning science. And there I discovered this governmental program called Validation d'Acquis, which basically means validation of life experience. And it allowed me to enter a master program in education, which was always my passion, but kind of side hobby. So I entered the program without having a bachelor. And at first, it was like a fun idea to do a master without a bachelor. But then I started to think seriously about this potential. Like, what could happen if we recognize all the learning experiences of people, not just their grades, not just the schooling? So that's how ExperimentQ started, with this idea of how can we document, how can we acknowledge what people learn in all possible forms, not just education.
In comparison with Tudor, I have a classical path. I did a traditional way of going through studies. So I have a bachelor degree, when I went through different Erasmus programs, and I ended up with a master degree in Strasbourg in France. When I said, well, I should do an internship, then I have to find a real job. So I ended up in Paris, and I used to be a consultant for the last 4 years now in change management and project management. And then when I met Tudor, and he brought up this idea of, okay, get out of your comfort zone and explore, and let's do something interesting. And then I was always passionate about learning, what's the future of learning, the future of work. So I quitted my job in Paris, and we took the backpacks and we went for the adventure, which is ExperimentQ podcast show.
Yeah. So now we come to what is ExperimentQ exactly. So long term, we really look at this potential or the question, how can we document and acknowledge what people learn through their life at any age? But before going into building something for tracking and measuring learning experiences, we figured, because of our background, because of our education, we have a very Western way of looking at education, which is basically credentials and certificates and validations and so on. Yeah. So that's before we said, before we could build something to measure informal learning and different experiences for life, we said, let's go around the world and map different initiatives, different learning communities that exist out there, so we can build something truly of value. So that's why on March 1st, actually on February 28th, we left the flat in Paris and started the world tour, which ideally will continue for 12 months. And we're going to document initiatives from about 40 countries. That's the plan.
That's our goal.
So maybe Anna, you can share what happened so far, like in 2 weeks on the road.
Yeah, so we started actually the 1st of March, we started our world tour, and our first destination was Barcelona. We went there with a mission to find out what are the Fab Labs, and what in particular is Fab Lab Barcelona and Fab Academy. So we interviewed Thomas Diaz, the director of Fab Lab Barcelona and the ambassador of Fab Cities and coordinator of Fab Academy. So we had an interesting interview with a lot of insights. You can see it on SoundCloud.
It's in the cloud.
Yeah. And actually we talk about the state of learning within the Fab Labs and the story behind Fab Academy. And I don't know, interesting insights we had about the Fab cities as well. Yeah. So special thanks to Samira from ED Lab. We had an amazing time in Barcelona. Yeah.
So next, after Barcelona, we went to Madrid. The initial plan was to go to Mondragon because it's a very interesting region where they do business in a very collaborative way, and the education is very tightly connected to the way they do business. So first, from Barcelona, we wanted to go to Mondragon, but we ended up, changing the route and going to Madrid, where we met Charlie Moreno Romero.
He's
originally from Colombia, but right now he's a PhD student at Autonomous University in Madrid, and he's researching alternative education and democratic schools. So after we visited a community school created by parents, we interviewed, it's a parent association.
Yeah.
We interviewed him in his flat. Actually, if you go on our Instagram at ExperimentQ, you can find the picture of the interview in very colorful socks on the sofa. It was fun.
Super cozy.
So that interview is also online right now, and you can see all the insights, all the show notes related to this. Thank you. It's Jane, who was the translator from the interview we just had. So that was Madrid, mainly focused on alternative schools and democratic schools.
And then after Spain, we flew to Portugal. Our destination was Lisbon, more precisely the professional school of Almada, where we meet our great host, Cesar. Cesar Marquez, and he is a physics and chemistry teacher who, along with other peers, he shakes the curriculum in the school, and he focuses on soft skills rather than just lecturing, which is a great approach. I think, And so we discussed the future of vocational schools in the age of artificial intelligence, robotics, how he defines success for students from difficult social backgrounds. So it was very inspiring. At the beginning, you were very skeptic about the vocational schools, like the unsexy schools.
When we are in a pedagogy program like bachelor or master, the vocational schools are kind of the ugly duck in a room, or I don't know what's the actual expression in English, but it's not something attractive for research or for people who look into innovative education. But this school in particular does something very interesting because the students come from difficult social backgrounds. They needed to change the curriculum in order to fit their needs. So
and to gain their trust and to make them want to learn and explore and share.
Trust was a big issue. Like the students in this professional school from Almada come from a history where they were told that they are a failure for 10 or 15 years, that they didn't perform and so on. So what we found was interesting, that it's a collaborative work of all the professors, the teachers in the school, to come together and rethink the curriculum in order to focus on the needs and the ideas of the students. For example, one interesting approach that they have, it's called Open School for Open Society, where students go in the field, they look at the problems of their community, and they choose a project that they want to focus on, and then the teachers will think how can they fit maths and physics and chemistry within the project that the students chose. So that was very interesting. Also, it's fun that some students bring their own cars and then repair them in the garage.
And even teachers do this when there is something broken.
It's very practical, it's very hands-on, and it was also interesting to see that people on the ground within the system, within a school that is seen with some skepticism or lack of interest, actually end up doing very interesting work.
Then we went to Faro, where we met two inspiring Italians. This is the team Senimosi. So Alessandro, he used to be an illustrator, and Simona, a dancer. They are just doing a great job. Their workshops are really inspiring, with a lot of exercises, which makes you unblock your creativity, or like break your fears and just do things. We actually went there and we could participate at this workshop that they did for the educators. So, but the idea was like maybe the educators can go back and implement kind of exercises, ideas that they saw there. So what I liked is like how an educator, if he's full of fears, can teach a child to be more like open and to create more. So I felt like really inspiring our workshop.
It was interesting that we here within the education community, we talk a lot about how to encourage kids to be more creative and how to do different activities, but there is very little talk or workshops or activities for teachers to get better at learning, to get better at being spontaneous, creating stuff. So being there in the workshop and seeing all these educators getting out of their comfort zone and actually moving and drawing in weird way. I mean, we created some video clips and we'll put the interview up, but if you cut the music, if you cut the words, and if you just look like at the visuals, it's very weird and strange, but it's very fun.
But you can still see the stories on the Instagram by checking Faro.
Yeah,
and they are the highlights, and you can see some of the exercises, because what they really do is like they want you to express yourself by using your body, because the body is like, we have an important tool, and we think it's like just the mind or our brain that counts the most. And they were like drawing with their bodies, like playing, dancing, moving, and I like the idea of relaxed. You have to get into a released body and not relaxed body. There are a lot of cool insights. Yeah.
Hopefully we can translate all the experiences that we had there through pictures and audio in the coming week. Because we're a bit late on the schedule, in the sense that we get all the content and all the interviews, and then it takes us few days to actually publish that, which overlaps with us being in another city. And talking about another city, we are in Reggio Emilia at okay, maybe you can see that's not the sexiest place, but it's really an inspiring community space here in Reggio Emilia. the birthplace of the approach to education, which mostly focuses on infants and primary school, which is the Reggio Emilia approach. And to put it in a nutshell, this is an approach that recognizes the child as an equal member of the society from age 0, where they have the rights to learn and the rights to education. Also, it's interesting that they call kids with disabilities, as we say, they say kids with special rights. And every time there is a child with special rights within the room, they will also hire an adult to be responsible for the environment. Not that child with the special right, but to make sure the environment is right for everyone to have a balance. And what's also specific to this approach, besides recognizing the child as the as an active member of the society, is that there are 3 teachers. One is the teacher, second is the child, and the third is the environment. So they really put a lot of thought and effort into designing the spaces, from colors, from materials, from games, from activities. It's really a complete experience. And sadly, we could not take pictures inside the school because they really
bought
value
some postcards.
Yeah, they really value the privacy and the rights of the children. So if by any chance and that picture is the face of a child, it's very important for them that we don't share that information. But you can find some pictures online and some videos with interviews and so on. And what's also unique about this place, it's something they call learning journals.
Yeah.
So the teachers document on a daily basis the experiences for which kids go through videos and journals.
Actually, they create this space and empower children for them to document, not just the teacher documents the child is doing this, but they don't have this approach. I will teach you how to write, or like this direct way. Everything that's there is you have the perfect place to explore and to document, and it's they're creating this space for them.
And that also it's interesting that those learning journals are shared in between teachers and with the families. So actually parents can see what the child is interested in, what's their learning curve, what they're actually spending time doing, and so on. So it's a very interesting way at looking at tracking the interest of the child and looking what children actually want to do.
And I liked as well the fact that they are not just playing around, but they are project-based as well. So they are exploring. They have a lot of materials that comes from the nature. So we had the chance to see a video yesterday, the approach of a teacher and how the kids explore different environments, different colors, they explore the flower. And what I liked, the teacher was always questioning and asking, so never give the answer directly. It's gives options, or ask you what this flower reminds you of, or something like this, but never asks, so what's inside the flower. We had a video with flower yesterday, so I really like this approach, guiding but not directly telling what's right or not.
Yeah. So that's about it for our first 2 weeks. There are some questions here. Can you leave links to your interviews with these amazing educators after the call? Absolutely. I mean, if you go on experimentq.org, you can find all the episodes, and in every episode we try to extract show notes with links to books they mentioned, to people they mentioned,
to spaces,
and so on. So it's every interview we have, we try to extract as much insights as possible and share them on the blog. You also can see links to different parts of the interview on Twitter and Instagram in real time. So we have a bit of delay for the video and audio, the big part of the interview, but everything we learn and observe real time, we try to share with the community, mainly through Twitter and Instagram. All right, and next for this week, there's one more visit that we plan, which is BEST, if I can say it right. So BEST, it's an initiative from Bologna, which is interesting because Bologna has the oldest university on the continent. But this is a tech company, and what they try to do is to implement open badge system to validate learning experiences that happen at work or in environments other than the school. So it's interesting to contrast the city with the oldest university and how that institution stays relevant with an upcoming technology company that is trying to bring everyone together. And they actually have a lot of universities in Italy that use their badge system. And a lot of companies as well that join. So we can put the link to that in the comments, but the interview is going to happen on Friday. Tomorrow is a visit to the office, and on Friday is the actual interview. Right, so one more point that we had on the agenda was how do we actually measure informal learning? So that was our research question. That's why we started this world tour. So the short answer to that is we don't know yet. That's why we did it. We tried to map different initiatives and see how different cultures and communities look at learning in a holistic way, in a complex way, not just through memory, but through the collaboration with parents and community and different organizations. And we're just at the beginning of this journey. So if we find lessons on the road, which we'll share them on the website, on the podcast, on social media, and we'll be always happy to have feedback. All right, other questions? Where can we see the Faro videos that are coming?
Maybe the ones that we saw, maybe there is something on the internet, on YouTube, because the ones with the flowers and everything.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah.
So that's about it from the content and from the agenda. Now, do you want to share
What
anything?
was the? I don't remember what was the third point.
The third point, we just wanted to, if there are any questions that we can still answer. Thanks, Abhijit, for connecting. Great.
And Jessica, yeah.
Great to hear from you as well. For everyone who will listen to or watch this video later on, Abhijit was on episode 8, I believe, of ExperimentQ podcast. He's doing some amazing work in India with Project Defy. So check that out, everyone. Project Defy India. It was really inspiring. I wish I spent more time with that project.
Maybe we could share something like one questions. Anyway, our community can help you moving forward. Yeah, please provide us, give us your feedback about what we are doing. Maybe starting from the content on Instagram stories and everything. Podcast, share everything.
Share, subscribe here, subscribe there, below.
Yeah,
all that good stuff.
And we have on the website action button.
Yeah.
So you can see there how you can contribute as well.
In a very pragmatic way, there are several ways people can contribute. One is, recommend projects or communities, learning communities that you think are really doing interesting work and their story is worth sharing. Second, first we started this journey by, getting Airbnb and trying to stay in budget places, but we figured we lack the social context. And resources to continue like this the whole year. So right now we're looking for couch surfing, or actually we're starting to ask projects that we visit to host us, so we can actually stay with educators and team members of the project, so we can get a different context of why they do this, what's the motivation, what's the problem they try to solve, and so on. So accommodation, if you know projects and if you know people behind them, you can connect us, and it would be great to actually stay with local educators and entrepreneurs and get a better context for the stories.
On our website, experimentq.org/itinerary, you can see actually the itinerary of the world tour. We will update it. Actually, we update it once we have a project and everything is confirmed, but apparently to give a better visibility, we will update it even if we are not sure of, we don't have the confirmation yet, but still you can see that in Q3 will be there or somewhere, because people are asking, are you just in Europe? Are you coming to United States, or I don't know, somewhere else? So yes, we will update so you could see. And
the general idea of the itinerary is that we want to spend about 2 months in Europe, then we go through Turkey to Middle East and Africa, then we do Asia, and then either we go to North America and South America, or we do South America and North America. So on March 1st, 2019, we should be back in Europe. Hopefully it's a happy end, but there are a lot of challenges and unknowns on the way.
Yeah.
All right, yes, Jessica, we can update the itinerary on the ambassador page. Also, someone asked what's up with this thing, which is a lab coat. So I got this idea from a friend in Austria who said, if you really focus on education, you should have a scientist approach to learning. So that's why I got a lab coat, but there is a trick. I ask every single person that we interviewed to actually sign it. So that is the daughter... where is it? That is the daughter of Charlie, episode 11, who wrote Love, and then he left another message, which is Time is Art. Then I don't know if I can show this. That's a really cool idea. You see, keep on, and then there is searching inside. Very, very creative. And then we have, it's here, Trust and Error.
Yeah, make errors.
So it's... by the end of this project, hopefully everything is full with science and different drawings from educators and kids. Abhijit, India again this year. Yes, we are coming back to India because we were really inspired, and there are really a lot of projects and people who do interesting work. And I think it's very much needed because of the challenges in the country. So we'll be back for sure.
Yep.
And one final way to help is actually Patron. And yeah, now I recall there was one more point in the agenda of this live, which is radical transparency. We decided to share all the statistics behind this project, from what are the financial resources we use and invest per episode, what are the travel costs, what are all the category of costs, but also what's our social reach, what's our engagement through all the social channels. Also, we try to extract behind every interview that we have kind of statistics, results, impact that these projects have. So in this way, we also want to be radically transparent with our finances to let people know actually how much it costs to produce all these interviews in audio and video format. And as a way for us to share that is also the patron.com community, where we ask people to contribute for really cool rewards, such as custom t-shirt, postcards signed by the guests on the show. If you're really crazy, we're gonna fly you in to spend time with us for during one of the podcast interviews, or maybe for a week, and so on. Cesar can't be online now. I'll wait for the recorded video. Okay, thanks. So that's the final way to contribute, to help, and of course share articles, share tweets, share projects, and be in touch.
Yep.
That's about it from us. I don't know, team at HundrED. Do you have any other questions, or we call it a happy end with a half an hour live video? Okay, I see a lot of hearts.
I don't know.
Okay.
The challenges maybe, but
Challenges. Okay, we have lots of challenges and lessons on the road. So, do you want to start?
actually, by saying that traveling is fun when you go for a vacation or a weekend getaway, but when you are all the time on the road, it's like really tiring. And I don't know. There is we will try to focus, like to slow down a little bit next weeks, maybe, so we could not have this lapses between the podcasts, and to take care about our health, like doing sports and eating correctly. So this is a lesson that we learn. We have to get into this rhythm after 2 weeks. So
we're so enthusiastic and inspired about this opportunity to travel and record as many projects as possible, that we started to accumulate a lot of video and audio material, and we didn't actually go deep into the subjects. We didn't relate to the research that was done on a certain topic or in a certain project and so on. So from the next week, we'll try to have one topic per week. That is perhaps, let's say, credentials, like where do diplomas come from, how do we credit learning, and so on. Have a main interview or the main project for that week, and then spend the rest of the week to actually reach out to various communities, engage with them, look at related research papers or researchers, have maybe micro interviews or stories that relate to the main interview, and that will allow us to go way deeper into the conversation and into the topic, rather than just jumping from one city to another. So for us, it's like 6 projects in 2 weeks, and we moved through 6 cities. And it's been a bit crazy, but it's
still fun. It's not a complaining session, but we enjoyed it, and it's like an agile methodology. We will improve, and actually we learn a lot, but we want to improve and to share everything we learn with you.
So thank you, everyone, and please find us at ExperimentQ.org, also on all the social media networks you can think of by typing ExperimentQ. And we will be happy to receive any feedback, any idea, criticism, support, questions, and so on. And with this, we say thank you. And the learning scientists continue the journey.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.